The alarm bells rang through the metal halls of Nexus Prime. Dr. Lisa Martinez looked up from her microscope, pushing a strand of dark hair behind her ear. She had been studying alien plant samples for the past 6 hours, and the sudden noise made her jump. "All station personnel, please report to your assigned safety zones," came the voice over the speakers. It was Commander Jake Thompson, and he sounded worried. Lisa saved her work and walked toward the main corridor. Other beings rushed past her in panic. The tall blue Xanthari scholars moved quickly on their long legs, their large eyes wide with fear. The insect-like hive workers clicked and buzzed as they hurried away. Even the floating gas clouds that were the ethereal entities seemed to move faster than usual. But Lisa walked at her normal pace. So did the other humans she saw. Ryan Blake, the security chief, was actually walking slower than usual, chewing gum and checking his tablet. Katie Walsh from communications was typing on her phone as she walked, not looking worried at all. "What's going on?" Lisa asked Jake when she reached the command center. Jake looked at the big screen showing the outside of the station. A massive ship hung in space nearby. It was black and covered in sharp points. Strange symbols covered its hull, and it looked like something built for war. "Krillian hunting vessel," Jake said. "The Blood Fang. They want a dock." Lisa had heard of Krillians but never seen one. Everyone in the galaxy knew about them. They were 8 feet tall, covered in scales, and had claws that could cut through metal. They hunted other beings for sport and food. Most species ran when they heard Krillians were coming. "Did they say what they want?" Lisa asked. "To speak with our alpha predator about hunting rights in this sector," Jake replied. "Whatever that means." Ryan Blake walked up to them, still chewing his gum. "You want me to tell them to go away?" Jake shook his head. "Can't, that would be an act of war. We have to let them dock." On the screen they could see the Krillian ship getting closer. It was huge, maybe 10 times the size of their research station. Dark metal covered in spikes and weapons made it look like a floating nightmare. "Why is everyone so scared?" Katie asked, joining them. She had finished her phone call and looked curious. Jake pointed to a file on his screen. "Krillians are apex predators. They've conquered dozens of worlds. Their culture is built around hunting and killing. They see most other species as either food or competition." Lisa looked around the command center. All the alien crew members had left. Only humans remained at their posts, working normally. "Shouldn't we be, I don't know, hiding or something?" Katie asked. "From what?" Ryan said. "It's just one ship." Jake looked at them strangely. "Do you guys understand what Krillians are? They're the most dangerous predators in known space. One Krillian can take down 20 armed soldiers." Lisa shrugged. "Okay, but they're still just aliens, right? What's the worst that could happen?" Before Jake could answer, the docking clamps engaged with a loud clang. The Krillian ship was now attached to their station. "They're requesting permission to board," came a voice from the control room. Jake took a deep breath. "Granted. Send them to conference room A. Should I get the security team ready?" Ryan asked. "You are the security team," Jake reminded him. Ryan nodded. "Right, well, I guess I should put my serious face on then." The next few minutes felt very long. Jake watched the security cameras as the Krillian boarding party moved through the station halls. There were 5 of them, all huge and covered in dark scales. Their claws clicked on the metal floor as they walked. Sharp teeth showed when they breathed. The alien crew members who saw them on the cameras made sounds of fear. Some of the Xanthari started praying to their gods. The hive workers locked themselves in storage rooms. But when the Krillians passed by humans in the halls, something strange happened. The humans just moved to the side politely like they would for anyone else. Some even nodded hello. One human, Dr. Pete Morrison from the engineering team, was fixing a wall panel when the Krillians walked by. He glanced up, said, "Excuse me," when one Krillian's tail almost knocked over his toolbox, and went back to work. The lead Krillian stopped and stared at Pete for a long moment. Pete looked up again. "You need something?" Pete asked. The Krillian made a low growling sound and kept walking. Jake watched all this on the security cameras with growing confusion. "Why aren't they reacting?" he muttered. Lisa was reading about Krillians on her tablet. "Says here they're from a high-gravity world with lots of dangerous animals. Sounds like Australia." "Australia?" Jake asked. "Place on Earth. My brother lives there. Everything there tries to kill you, but people just deal with it. You get used to dangerous animals after a while." Ryan was checking his equipment. He had a small stunner on his belt, standard security gear. Think I should bring backup weapons? For what? Katie asked. The 8-foot-tall predator aliens with claws and teeth? Katie thought about it. Nah, you'll be fine. You took down that drunk Zenthari last month who was twice your size. That guy was just tall and thin. These things are built like tanks. Lisa looked up from her reading. Says here Krillians respect strength and dominance. You should probably act confident. I always act confident, Ryan said. True, Jake admitted. The Krillians had reached conference room A. On the camera, they looked around the room like they were checking for threats or escape routes. The lead one was bigger than the others, covered in scars. According to the translation system, his name was Huntmaster Vextar. Okay, Jake said. Lisa, you're our expert on alien biology. Katie, you handle translation if needed. Ryan, you're security. I'll do the talking. They walked to the conference room. Jake felt nervous, but his human crew seemed calm. Lisa was still reading about Krillians on her tablet. Katie was fixing her hair in the reflection of her phone screen. Ryan was humming quietly to himself. When they reached the conference room door, Jake paused. Everyone ready? Sure, Lisa said without looking up from her tablet. Ready for what? Katie asked. Ryan cracked his knuckles. Let's get this over with. I want to catch the game later. Jake opened the door and they walked into the room where 5 of the galaxy's most feared predators were waiting for them. The temperature seemed to drop. The Krillians were even bigger up close, their scales dark and sharp-looking. Huntmaster Vextar turned his large head toward them, yellow eyes scanning each human like he was deciding which one to eat first. I am Huntmaster Vextar of the Blood Fang, he said in a deep, threatening voice. I demand to speak with your alpha predator. Lisa finally looked up from her tablet with a slightly annoyed expression. Excuse me, she said. I'm trying to work here. Did you need something? Huntmaster Vextar stood perfectly still. In his 300 years of life, no creature had ever spoken to him like that. Lesser beings fell to their knees when they saw him. Prey animals ran in terror. Even other predators showed respect or fear. But this small human female had looked at him like he was bothering her, like he was some minor annoyance interrupting her day. Vextar's claws extended slowly. The sound of sharp metal scraping against metal filled the quiet room. His tail moved behind him in a way that meant he was getting ready to attack. The other Krillians moved closer, forming a hunting circle. Lisa Martinez looked back down at her tablet and kept reading. Jake Thompson felt sweat on his forehead. This was going very badly very quickly. Huntmaster Vextar, welcome to Nexus Prime. I'm Commander Thompson. How can we help you? Vextar's yellow eyes stayed on Lisa. That one. She shows no fear. This is not possible. All prey species fear the hunter. Prey species? Katie Walsh looked confused. Did he just call us prey? Ryan Blake stopped chewing his gum for a second. Rude. Vexitar's head snapped toward Ryan. You dare speak to me with such disrespect, small creature? Ryan shrugged. I was just saying it's rude to call people prey when you just met them. It's like bad manners. The other Krillians made low growling sounds. One of them took a step forward, but Vexitar held up a clawed hand to stop him. You do not understand, Vexitar said slowly. I am Huntmaster of the Blood Fang. I have claimed over 1,000 kills across 47 worlds. Entire planets surrender when they hear my name. I am Apex Predator. Lisa looked up again, this time with interest instead of annoyance. Oh, you're a predator. That's actually pretty cool. I study predator-prey relationships in my research. Vextar blinked his large eyes. You study predators? Sure, Earth has tons of them. Bears, wolves, sharks, big cats. Really fascinating how they've adapted to different environments. Lisa turned her tablet to show him. See, this is a great white shark, apex predator in marine environments. And this is a grizzly bear. They can weigh up to 800 pounds. Vextar looked at the images. The creatures were large and had sharp teeth, but they were still much smaller than him. These are your world's apex predators? Some of them, Lisa said. We have lots of different ones depending on the habitat. And your species. You fear them? Lisa laughed. Fear them? Not really. I mean, you respect them because they're dangerous, but people swim with sharks all the time. My cousin Jake used to wrestle alligators. Wrestle? Vextar did not understand this word. Katie pulled out her phone. Like this, look. She showed him a video of humans swimming in cages near great white sharks. This is shark cage diving. People pay money to do this for fun. Vextar stared at the small screen. The humans in the video were floating in the water right next to creatures with rows of sharp teeth. They looked happy. Some were even taking pictures. This cannot be real, Vextar said. Oh, that's nothing, Ryan said. You should see the videos of people free diving with them. No cage, free diving? Vextar's voice got higher. Swimming down into deep water without breathing equipment, Jake explained. People do it to see how deep they can go. Vextar looked around the room at all four humans. They were small. They had no claws, no sharp teeth, no scales for protection. Their skin looked soft and easy to tear, but they spoke of swimming with ocean predators like it was normal. Where are your weapons? Vextar asked. Ryan patted the small device on his belt. Got a stunner. Standard security gear. That is all? Well, there's a bigger weapons locker if something really dangerous shows up. But for normal stuff, this works fine. Vextar's mind was having trouble processing this information. These humans were treating him like he was not dangerous. But he was the most dangerous being in this sector of space. His reputation alone had ended wars. You do not understand, Vextar said again, his voice getting louder. I am a Krillian warrior. My claws can cut through steel. My teeth can crush bone. I have killed creatures twice my size with my bare hands. That's pretty impressive, Lisa said. What kind of creatures? Armored beasts from the deathworld of Skarn. Tentacled hunters from the poison seas of Vex Prime. The great sandworms of Talos 4. Lisa nodded thoughtfully. Sounds like you've been to some really dangerous places. Earth has places like that too. Earth? Vextar had never heard of this world. Our home planet, Katie said. It's classified as a Class 12 deathworld by galactic standards. Vextar went very still. A Class 12 deathworld was a place where almost nothing could survive. Only the toughest, most dangerous creatures could live in such environments. The Krillian homeworld was only Class 8. You come from a Class 12 deathworld? Vextar asked quietly. Yeah, Ryan said. Pretty much everything there tries to kill you in some way. Poisonous plants, dangerous animals, extreme weather, natural disasters. You learn to deal with it. Deal with it? Adapt, Lisa explained. Humans are really good at adapting to dangerous environments. We live everywhere on Earth now. Deserts, frozen places, mountains, islands, everywhere. Vextar tried to imagine living on a world more dangerous than his own. The Krillian homeworld was harsh, but they were built for it. These humans looked so fragile. Show me, Vextar said suddenly. Show you what? Jake asked. Show me your world. Show me these predators you speak of. I do not believe such small creatures could survive among true dangers. Lisa and Katie looked at each other and smiled. Sure, Lisa said. We can use the holographic training room. It has environmental simulators. This should be fun, Katie added. Vextar followed the humans out of the conference room. His fellow Krillians came with him, all looking confused. In the hallway, they passed more humans going about their normal work. None of them seemed worried about the 5 armed predators walking past. One human was mopping the floor. He looked up when the group approached. Hey, watch the wet floor, the janitor said to Vextar. Don't want anyone slipping. Vextar carefully stepped around the wet area. He found himself saying thank you automatically. The janitor smiled. No problem, big guy. As they walked toward the training room, Vextar realized something that made him very uncomfortable. For the first time in his adult life, he was not sure who the real predator was in this situation. The holographic training room was large and empty when they entered. White walls surrounded them, and the air hummed with energy from the projection systems. Computer load Earth environment simulation, Lisa said. Which environment would you prefer? Asked the computer's voice. Let's start with a basic overview. Show representative ecosystems and native wildlife. The room changed instantly. Vextar found himself standing in what looked like a vast grassland. Golden grass moved in the wind around him. In the distance, he could see mountains and forests. The sky above was blue with white clouds. This is an African savanna, Lisa explained. One of our more dangerous environments. Suddenly, the ground began to shake. Vextar's hand went to his weapon, but the humans stood calmly. Then he saw them. A herd of enormous creatures was running across the grassland. They looked like gray mountains with legs, each one the size of a small building. Huge curved tusks grew from their faces. Elephants, Katie said casually. They weigh about 6 tons each, Vextar stared. These creatures, they are larger than me. Oh yeah, Ryan said. Much larger. But they're actually pretty gentle unless you threaten them or their babies. The scene changed. Now they stood in thick jungle. Vextar could hear strange sounds all around them. Calls and roars and clicking noises. Something moved in the trees above. A massive shape dropped down in front of them. It was a cat, but the largest cat Vextar had ever seen. Orange and black stripes covered its body. It had teeth as long as Vextar's claws and muscles that rippled under its fur. Siberian tiger, Lisa said. Weighs about 600 pounds. This one's actually small for its species. The tiger looked directly at Vextar and roared. The sound was so loud and deep that Vextar felt it in his chest. Despite himself, he took a step backward. Impressive, right? Katie said. They can jump 15 feet horizontally and climb trees. Your species. You share your world with these creatures? Share might not be the right word, Lisa admitted. We've pushed most of the big predators into protected areas. But yeah, people live near them. The scene changed again. Now they were underwater, surrounded by blue water. Fish swam around them in all directions. Then Vextar saw something that made his blood run cold. A creature the size of a small ship was swimming toward them. It was gray and white with a pointed snout full of triangular teeth. Each tooth was the size of Vextar's hand. Its dead black eyes showed no emotion at all. Great white shark, Lisa said cheerfully. This one's about 20 feet long. They can smell blood from miles away and swim at 25 miles per hour. The shark circled them slowly. Vextar could see the power in its movements. This was a perfect killing machine built for nothing but hunting. And humans swim in the same water as these? Vextar asked. All the time, Ryan said. Surfing is really popular. That's when people ride on boards over the waves. Even knowing these creatures are there, shark attacks are pretty rare, Katie said. You're more likely to get struck by lightning. The underwater scene faded and they were standing in a snowy landscape. Wind howled around them and Vextar could feel cold even through the simulation. A huge white shape moved through the snow toward them. It walked on 4 legs and was covered in thick fur. When it stood up on its back legs, it was twice as tall as Vexitar. Polar bear, Lisa said. They live in one of the coldest places on Earth, can weigh up to 1,500 pounds and run 30 miles per hour. Vexitar watched the massive bear. Its paws were bigger than his head, with claws that looked deadly. But what shocked him most was what came next. The scene shifted to show a human in heavy clothing, standing just a few feet away from a similar bear. The human was taking pictures. Wildlife photography, Katie explained. Some people make a living getting close to dangerous animals to take pictures of them. They do this willingly? It's a job, Ryan said. Pretty good money if you're good at it. The simulation continued showing Earth's predators. Vextar saw crocodiles that could death roll creatures to pieces, venomous snakes that could kill with a single bite, spiders whose poison could drop a grown man, giant squid with tentacles covered in sharp hooks. But most shocking were the humans in every scene, swimming with sharks, walking near tigers, taking pictures of bears, studying venomous snakes. Some humans were even touching the dangerous creatures. This human, Vextar said, pointing to a man handling a large snake. He will die. Nah, that's probably just a nature documentary, Lisa said. Those guys are professionals. They know what they're doing. But the creature is venomous. Yeah, but he's got anti-venom, proper equipment, and lots of training. It's dangerous but manageable if you're careful. Vextar's world was turning upside down. Every creature the humans had shown him was a deadly predator. Many were larger than him. Some were more dangerous. Yet humans lived alongside all of them. Show me your hunting, Vextar demanded. Show me how humans hunt these creatures. The scene changed to show early humans running across a grassland. They were chasing a large animal with 4 legs and curved horns. Persistence hunting, Lisa said. Humans aren't the fastest runners, but we don't get tired as easily as most animals. We would just keep chasing them until they collapsed from exhaustion. Vextar watched in horror as the humans ran for hours. The animal they were chasing was faster, but the humans never stopped. Every time the animal rested, the humans caught up. Eventually, the exhausted animal could run no more. Your species hunts by refusing to stop. One of our methods, Ryan said. We're really good at not giving up. But this creature is faster than you. Stronger than you. Sure, but we're smarter and more stubborn. The simulation showed more human hunting techniques. Humans working together to drive mammoths off cliffs. Humans using tools to catch fish. Humans setting traps for large predators. You hunt in packs, Vextar observed. We're social animals, Katie said. We work together really well. Vextar was beginning to understand something that terrified him. These humans were not like any predator he had ever encountered. They were not built for hunting like Krillians were. They had no natural weapons, no armor, no overwhelming size or strength, but they were persistent. They worked together. They used tools. They adapted to any environment. And most frightening of all, they lived on a world so dangerous that it had made them completely fearless. "Show me your warriors," Vextar said quietly. The scene changed to show human soldiers throughout history. Vextar saw armies marching across battlefields. He saw humans fighting with swords and spears, then more modern scenes with advanced weapons. But what caught his attention was a different type of image. Humans in extreme situations, climbing the highest mountains on their world, diving to the deepest parts of their oceans, exploring caves full of poisonous gas, flying in small vehicles at incredible speeds. "These are not warriors," Vextar said, confused. "Those? No, those are just people doing extreme sports," Lisa said. "Hobbies, basically." "Hobbies? Things people do for fun in their free time," Katie explained. Vextar stared at images of humans jumping out of flying vehicles with only a piece of fabric to slow their fall. "They do this for entertainment?" "Skydiving is pretty popular," Ryan said. "Though personally I prefer rock climbing." "Rock climbing? Climbing up the sides of mountains or cliffs with just ropes in your hands?" Vextar felt something he had never experienced before. These humans were describing activities that would be considered suicidal by any Krillian, but they spoke about them like they were normal weekend activities. "What?" Vextar asked slowly. "Do humans consider actually dangerous?" The humans looked at each other when Vexatar asked what they considered dangerous. Lisa scratched her head thoughtfully. "I guess really dangerous would be like going into a war zone without proper equipment," she said. "Or free climbing El Capitan in bad weather," Ryan added. "Deep cave diving without backup air supplies," Katie suggested. "Swimming with saltwater crocodiles," Lisa continued. "Those things are basically living dinosaurs." Vextar listened to this list in growing disbelief. Even their idea of really dangerous activities sounded insane to him. "I do not believe you," Vexatar said finally. "These displays could be false. I demand proof of your species' capabilities." "What kind of proof?" Jake asked. "Combat," Vextar said simply. "If humans are truly dangerous, prove it. I challenge your strongest warrior to single combat." The humans looked at each other again. Ryan shrugged. "I guess that would be me," he said. "I'm head of security." Vextar looked Ryan up and down. The human was maybe 6 feet tall and weighed perhaps 180 pounds. Vextar was 8 feet tall and weighed over 400 pounds. He had natural weapons, armor like scales, and centuries of combat experience. "You accept my challenge?" Vextar asked. "Sure," Ryan said. "But let's make it non-lethal. Training weapons only. No point in anyone getting seriously hurt." Vextar was confused by this attitude. "You do not wish to prove your dominance? To claim victory over a defeated enemy?" "Not really," Ryan said. "I just want to make sure everyone goes home safe." This made no sense to Vextar. In Krillian culture, combat was about establishing hierarchy. The winner dominated the loser. But this human spoke like the fight was just exercise. They moved to the training area. The computer generated non-lethal versions of Krillian claws for Vextar and basic protective gear for Ryan. The simulated weapons would cause pain but no permanent damage. "You may wish to reconsider," Vextar told Ryan as they prepared. "I have killed creatures much larger than you." "I'm sure you have," Ryan said, stretching his arms. "But I've been in plenty of fights too." "Against what enemies?" Ryan thought about it. "Drunk space truckers mostly. The occasional smuggler. Last month there was this Zenthari guy who got upset about the station's food policies." Vextar could not believe what he was hearing. This human's combat experience was breaking up bar fights. The match began. Vextar moved forward confidently, expecting to end this quickly. He was stronger, faster, and had reach advantage with his claws. But something went wrong immediately. Ryan did not fight like Vextar expected. He did not try to match strength with strength or use brute force. Instead, he moved in ways that seemed random but somehow always kept him out of reach of Vextar's attacks. When Vextar lunged forward with his claws, Ryan stepped aside and used Vextar's own momentum to throw him off balance. When Vextar tried to grab him, Ryan twisted away and somehow ended up behind him. It was like fighting smoke. Every time Vextar thought he had the human cornered, Ryan found a way out. "Stop moving so much and fight," Vextar growled. "I am fighting," Ryan said, dodging another swipe. Vextar began to get frustrated. This small human was making him look clumsy. He increased his speed and aggression, putting all his strength into his attacks. That was his mistake. Ryan waited for Vextar to overcommit to a powerful attack, then stepped forward instead of backward. He grabbed Vextar's extended arm and did something with leverage and positioning that Vextar did not understand. Suddenly, Vextar found himself flying through the air. He hit the training mat hard, with Ryan somehow controlling his fall so that the human landed on top of him. Before Vextar knew what happened, Ryan had wrapped an arm around his neck from behind. The position was perfect. Ryan had leverage, and Vextar could not reach him with claws or teeth. "Do you yield?" Ryan asked politely. Vextar struggled, but the human's position was too good. Ryan was not trying to hurt him, just controlling him completely. "I yield," Vextar said, confused and embarrassed. Ryan immediately let go and helped Vextar stand up. "Good match," Ryan said. "You're really strong. I had to use everything I knew to avoid getting caught." Vextar stared at him. "You defeated me." "Well, yeah, but you're not used to fighting humans. If we did this again, you'd probably figure out my tricks. You are not claiming dominance over me." Ryan looked genuinely confused. "Why would I do that? You seem like a decent guy. Just wanted to make sure nobody got hurt." This broke Vexatar's understanding of combat completely. In his culture, the winner dominated the loser. But this human had defeated him and then immediately helped him up like nothing had happened. "I do not understand," Vextar said. "You bested me in combat, but you show no aggression. You offer no insult. You make no claim of superiority." "Because I don't feel superior," Ryan said. "You're obviously a skilled fighter. I just know different techniques than you do." Lisa had been watching the match with interest. "Ryan used to do something called mixed martial arts," she explained to Vextar. "It's a human sport where people fight with different fighting styles." "Sport?" Vextar asked. "People do it for fun," Katie said. "There are competitions and everything. Humans fight each other. For entertainment? Sure," Ryan said. "It's good exercise and you learn a lot about yourself. Plus it keeps you sharp for real situations." Vextar tried to process this. Humans fought each other regularly, but not for dominance or territory. They did it for fun and self-improvement. "Show me more of this sport," Vextar demanded. The computer displayed recordings of human martial arts competitions. Vextar watched humans fighting with techniques he had never seen. They used their opponent's strength against them. They fought from the ground. They used submission holds and throws, but what shocked him most was what happened after each fight. The competitors helped each other up. They showed respect to each other. Winners did not humiliate losers. "This is not warfare," Vextar observed. "No," Ryan agreed. "It's competition. There's a difference." "Explain this difference," Lisa thought for a moment. "In warfare, you're trying to destroy your enemy. In competition, you're both trying to improve and test yourselves. Your opponent helps you get better by challenging you." Vextar looked at Ryan with new understanding. "You did not fight me to dominate me." "Nah," Ryan said. "I fought you to see what would happen, and to show you that humans can handle ourselves if we need to. But you could have humiliated me, made me submit completely." "Why would I want to do that?" Ryan asked. "What would be the point?" Vextar realized something that shook him to his core. This human had defeated him easily, but had chosen to show mercy. Not because he was weak, but because he was strong enough to choose restraint. "Your species," Vexatar said slowly. "You are predators who choose not to be predators." "I guess you could say that," Lisa said. "We found out a long time ago that cooperation works better than constant fighting, but you retain the ability to fight when necessary." "Of course," Ryan said. "We're not stupid. Sometimes you have to defend yourself or protect others." Vextar thought about his own species. Krillians fought because it was their nature. They dominated because they could. They took what they wanted because they were strong enough. But humans fought only when they chose to. They could be deadly, but they preferred not to be. They had become something Vextar had never imagined possible. They had evolved beyond simple predation into something far more dangerous. Predators with wisdom, restraint, and choice. "What are you?" Vextar whispered. Vextar stood in the training room, looking at the 4 humans around him. His world had been turned completely upside down in the space of a few hours. "What are you?" he had asked, and now he thought he was beginning to understand the answer. "We're just people," Lisa said simply, "humans from Earth." But Vexitar knew it was more than that. These beings had shown him a type of strength he had never encountered before. They were apex predators who had chosen to become something else. Something better. "I must ask you something," Vextar said. "This restraint you show, this choice not to dominate when you could, is this weakness or strength?" Ryan considered the question seriously. "I think it's strength. It's easy to hurt someone when you're angry or scared. It's much harder to stay in control and do the right thing." "The right thing? Helping instead of hurting," Katie explained. "Protecting instead of destroying. Building instead of tearing down." Vexitar thought about his own culture. Krillians took pride in their kills. They built monuments to their victories. They told stories of the creatures they had defeated. "What do humans build monuments to?" he asked. "Lots of things," Lisa said. "People who helped others. Scientists who made discoveries. Artists who created beautiful things. Sometimes we build monuments to remember wars, but usually to remember the people who died and hope we can avoid more wars." "You build monuments to hope for peace?" "War is sometimes necessary," Jake said. "But it's not something to celebrate. It means we failed to solve our problems peacefully." This concept was completely foreign to Vextar. Krillians celebrated war and conquest. To them, battle was the highest form of existence. "I do not understand your species," Vextar admitted. "You have the ability to be the greatest predators in the galaxy, but you choose not to use this ability. Why would we want to be predators?" Lisa asked. "We've got better things to do." "Better things?" "Science, art, exploration, building societies, raising families," Katie listed. "There's a whole universe to explore and understand." "But power," Vextar said. "With your abilities, you could dominate other species. Rule over them." Ryan made a face like he had tasted something bad. "That sounds awful. Who wants that responsibility? Plus, it would be wrong." "Wrong. Other species have the right to live their own lives," Jake explained. "We don't have the right to control them just because we're stronger." Vextar was quiet for a long time. Everything the humans said went against his basic understanding of how the universe worked. In his experience, the strong ruled the weak. That was natural law, but these humans seemed to have different laws. "If you do not seek to dominate," Vextar asked, "what do you seek?" "Knowledge," Lisa said immediately. "I want to understand how life works throughout the galaxy." "Peace," Jake added. "I want different species to work together instead of fighting." "New experiences," Katie said. "There are so many interesting places and people to meet." "Just to help when I can," Ryan said with a shrug. "Make sure people are safe and happy." Vextar looked at each of them. They were telling the truth. These deadly predators from a deathworld wanted to learn, explore, and help others. "I came here to establish hunting rights in this sector," Vextar said slowly, "to claim territory for my people." "And now?" Jake asked. Vextar was quiet for another long moment. "Now I think my people have much to learn." He turned to face all 4 humans. "I offer you the highest honor my culture can give. I invite you to hunt alongside my pack." "That's very kind," Lisa said, "but I'd rather study the animals than hunt them." "Study them. Learn about them. How they live, what they eat, how they raise their young. There's so much to discover without hurting them." Vextar tried to imagine hunting without killing. What would be the purpose? "Understanding," Lisa said. "The more we understand about life, the better we can protect it. Protect life instead of taking it." "Life is rare and precious," Jake said. "At least that's what we've learned. Every species we meet has something unique to offer." Vextar thought about all the creatures he had killed over the centuries, all the civilizations his people had conquered. Had they destroyed things that could never be replaced? "Perhaps," Vexitar said carefully, "you could teach my people these concepts." "We'd be happy to," Katie said. "Cultural exchange is one of the main purposes of this station." "But first," Vextar said, "I must correct an error." He activated his communication device and sent a signal to his ship. Within moments, he was connected to the Krillian Fleet Communication Network. "This is Huntmaster Vextar," he announced. "I am updating our assessment of the species known as humans. Across Krillian space, military commanders and hunters stopped what they were doing to listen. Vextar's assessments were legendary for their accuracy. Previous classification: unknown prey species. New classification. Vextar paused, looking at the humans around him. Apex Deathworlder. Threat level: unmeasurable. Recommendation: maintain respectful distance. Do not engage unless seeking to learn restraint. The communication channel erupted with confused voices. Krillian commanders demanded explanations. How could such small creatures be classified as unmeasurable threats? Species demonstrates unprecedented combination of lethal capability and voluntary restraint. Vextar continued. Capable of extreme violence but chooses cooperation. Capable of domination but chooses partnership. Recommend immediate cessation of any hostile actions toward human territories. Huntmaster, came a voice from the fleet. Are you saying we should fear these humans? Vextar looked at Ryan, who was helping put away the training equipment. At Lisa, who was already back to reading about alien biology on her tablet. At Katie, who was humming while she checked her messages. At Jake, who was planning the next diplomatic meeting. No, Vextar said finally. I am saying we should learn from them. He closed the communication channel and turned back to the humans. Thank you, he said simply. For what? Ryan asked. For showing me that there are forms of strength I had never imagined. As Vextar and his crew prepared to return to their ship, he realized that this encounter had changed everything. Not just for him, but potentially for all Krillian civilization. They had met a species that was everything Krillians thought they wanted to be. Apex predators capable of dominating all other life. But humans had chosen to become something better. They were teachers instead of conquerors. Protectors instead of destroyers, builders instead of raiders. As the Blood Fang detached from Nexus Prime, Vextar sent one final message to the station. Commander Thompson, if your people ever need allies, you have the Krillian fleet. Jake's response came back quickly. Thank you, Huntmaster. You're always welcome here. Vextar smiled, an expression that felt strange on his scarred face. Perhaps there was hope for his people after all. In the command center of Nexus Prime, the humans returned to their normal duties. Lisa went back to her research. Ryan resumed his security rounds. Katie continued her communication work. Jake started planning the next diplomatic mission. None of them realized they had just redefined power structures across half the galaxy. To them, they had simply had an interesting conversation with a new species. They had made a potential friend. They had shown someone that there were alternatives to violence and domination. It was, they thought, just another normal day at work. But across the galaxy, word was spreading. The Krillians, the most feared predators in known space, had encountered something that made them recommend restraint and respectful distance. Other species began to take notice of humans, not as potential allies or enemies, but as something entirely new, something that challenged their basic assumptions about strength, power, and survival. The age of human diplomacy had begun, though the humans themselves were too busy with their research, security duties, and communication work to notice. After all, they were just people doing their jobs, trying to make the galaxy a little bit safer and more interesting for everyone.